This meeting is
It is Tuesday, June 1st. It is 6:37. This is the Town of Groton Town Council Committee of the Whole Special Meeting. Call to order. We have councilors, myself, Granatowski, Bordelon, Baumgartner, Franco, Heed, Melendez, Aubry. Councilor Zeperi cannot be with us this evening, and Councilor Parker is running a little bit late, but she will be joining us. We have new business. Item 3A, 2021-407. Establishment of tax rate for general fund FYE 2021. This was on page 2 of the COW packet. And we will start with Councilor Baumgartner, please.
I'll make a motion to recommend a resolution to establish the tax rate for the general fund for FYE 2022.
Second, Heed.
Moved by Baumgartner and seconded by Heed. Thank you. Director Landry, will you be speaking to each of these items, or is Mr. Burt going to speak to them?
I can speak to them.
Thank you.
Turn my camera on. Good evening, everyone. I think that hopefully you've had a chance to read the bullet points that I had in my referral. As you know, the town manager had proposed a budget that required a mill rate of 26.22 mills. After the council reduced the budget by approximately $910,000. And then the RTM further reduced that to by $92,000. So the ending budget is $137,644,367. And this would require a mill rate of 25.98, and that is using a fund balance of $2,851,000. I have included some attachments with it that gave you the comparisons of the starting budget and shows the council chamber, the council changes as well as the RTM changes. There's the mill rate calculation and reconciliation of the CIPs also. So if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them for you.
Thank you, Director Landry. Mr. Burt, did you want to add anything before I open it up if council has questions?
No, I don't have anything.
Thank you. Do any councilors have questions? Councilor Bordelon.
Thank you. Thank you for that detailed report. Looking at that, as you stated, it's a 25.98 increase, mill rate. Where are we at currently in our fund balance as we are today?
The fund balance is, bear with me. The estimate for the year end is approximately, when you compare it to the 21 current budget,
okay,
it's approximately 23, we're estimating 23%. That is just based on current, the estimates of May for revenue and expenditures as of May.
So using this amount would leave us at what number?
It would leave us, it would bring it down to 19.8%. One of the attachments is the fund balance calculation.
Mm-hmm. I'm just looking at the number and wondering if we should be using more of the fund balance to move the mill rate number down a little bit more. So my question is, what would we have to do to move that number? What ratio of numbers I'm looking at? And you said the percent. What is the exact number of the fund balance after these expenses are pulled?
We're anticipating that would be approximately 27 million at the end of June of 22 by using the 2.8 million.
And it would leave us at 27 million?
Yes.
And you said that's roughly 19%?
Yes, of the 22 budget.
Okay.
I may interject. This is on page 6 in the packet if you needed to refer to the numbers.
Yeah, I have them here. I'm just double checking the numbers and referring with Cindy Landry to make sure. Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I wonder if we should be using a little bit more of our fund balance than what we actually are, is my question.
Well, the 2.8 million was the recommendation from the town manager, and it was the same fund balance that was used when we set the preliminary mill rate, which is very similar or very close to what we've determined to be the final mill rate. I think that I'm comfortable with the 2.8. I think that we wanted to reserve fund balance to be used potentially for next year and any other unexpected expenses that may come up next year. It is difficult to do this type of a calculation on the fly. I'm not saying it's not possible. It's not impossible to do it. But what would be the rationale for using more? I mean,
Because we have-
excuse me.
Sorry, go ahead.
1 mil is equal to approximately $3.6 million. So I don't know what.
I guess what I'm thinking is I know originally there was more LoCID funds to be had that we couldn't use yet that hadn't come in. Have those come in yet?
No,
They
we
have not.
won't. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm
We
saying
won't
no.
actually.
Go ahead.
Sorry, John. I was just going to say we won't know actually. The LoCIP is not guaranteed until the state sets its budget.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. So that's pending. So there's possible funds there. Also, with all the state COVID relief stuff coming in, there's possibly more funds in that area that could be used for other things that we have not earmarked yet. So looking at our fund balance, I think it's important to the taxpayers that we use a certain percent of the fund balance to offset the cost of the mill rate to make sure that, we're sticking, obviously preparing for that rainy day, but also, considering people have went through that rainy day with COVID and making sure that we're, presenting the fairest fund balance possible. I know last year we moved through the budget quite quickly due to COVID, and at that time we did not use a lot of the fund balance. I had requested to move a number that was in the middle of that, and it was not passed. So I'm just wondering where we could move this number to give taxpayers some relief, but also keep our rainy day fund somewhere in the ballpark and where we have stated we'd like to keep it. So I think we could do possibly a little bit better on that number and possibly maybe move that mill rate down to a solid 25 or even 24 and a half-ish. But I'm open to suggestions, Cindy, if you, since you do all the numbers. So I just want to see how there are other ways, the packet doesn't present any other options of what we can do as far as other numbers. It just gives us those. But I think it would be important to kind of consider other numbers for the sake of the community.
To be honest with you, I'm at a loss. I'm not quite sure if you're asking me to make a recommendation of fund balance usage or.
I guess so. I'll ask a pointed question. How do we get, if we made this the mill rate go down to 25 with the percent of fund balance used, or 24 and a half, where would those numbers have to be?
Okay, you're asking if we were to bring the mill rate down to the current mill rate?
25 flat.
Okay, well, that's lower than we have right now. To have a zero mill rate increase, you'd have to use $6 million of fund balance.
And that would be what percent? What the number?
I don't have the percentage. I didn't bring scenarios such as that.
Is there a way we can recess just to get those numbers before voting?
Councilor Bordelon, the manager, when this was sent out, I can't remember what date this was sent out, he asked specifically if councilors wanted other numbers run, that you present them in advance. That way the finance director could do an accurate job and not do it on the fly. So
I respect that. And at the time I didn't have numbers, but
your time is up, Councilor Bordelon. I am going to go to Councilor Franco.
So I'm asking for a calculation again under my thing. My request was a calculation to bring it to 25. Thank you.
Councilor Franco, you have the floor.
Thank you. In relation to those, I'd like to ask either Cindy or Mr. Burke some questions related to what was brought up. The state funds regarding COVID, if I'm not mistaken, were those could not be used to reduce taxes. Is that correct?
That is correct.
The LoCIP funds that we had assigned some LoCIP funds to projects, some CIP issues, and then there were some potential. So
we were holding those for the Mystic parking, I think.
Right.
Hope that, you know,
So if those come in, those could be assigned to something else.
correct.
And then we do have some pending issues with some tax litigation where we may want to hold some funds, as we may in the future, it's coming up on an agenda item to raise our policy on the fund balance to keep a minimum of in there. So as a council, we may raise that up to potentially like 15 or who knows what number. I can't speak for the council at this time. But if we raise that up to 15, we would still like to have a little buffer in there for other things that may come up. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And that would be probably the most responsible thing without having too much in there. Do you agree?
Yes, I do agree.
All right, thank you.
Welcome.
Councilor Heed, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. To Mr. Burt, we had a brief email exchange on different scenarios, and you gave a rationale for why you thought the current amount was good. Would you mind stating that for the record, please? Like, why 20%?
Well, I think it matches very well what Councilor Franco has said, and then Cindy had chimed in that we do have a couple tax litigation cases that we could have to pay out funds sooner rather than later. And what you don't want to do in a budget is spend, let's say you were looking over 2 years, you don't want to spend everything to lower it 1 year and then suddenly jump up a huge amount the next year. You want to balance it out and make sure you have enough money to do it the next year as we're waiting for some of these. We talked about kind of a 2-year plan for hoping that more revenues will start coming in. So that's kind of what I'm looking at, is trying to make sure we have enough to keep the fund balance or the mill rate reasonable.
Councilor Heed, you have time remaining, or are you yielding the floor?
Wait, what was
Are
it?
there other councilors? I'm not sure. Are there other councilors who wish to speak before? I'm going to have a speaking role in a second, but I wanted to see if other people wanted to talk first before we go to second time hands. Okay, I would like to take a turn. Let's see, it's 6:50. I would prefer to be well prepared for what we know is coming up as far as potential liabilities. The other thing that was not mentioned yet is that our school district, hopefully, will be coming off of the Alliance District designation. When that happens, we are going to see potentially a need for several $1 million more in funding for the district. I think it would be responsible of us to hold and reserve money in order to prepare for when we do come off the Alliance District status. In addition, as other councilors and Mr. Burt have stated, we do have some liabilities that we may be facing very soon. I do not want to see us have to dramatically increase taxes in a given year. If we can do what we can now to kind of buffer that and prepare for when we do have these increased liabilities. I think it makes more sense to do things this way rather than seeing a huge jump all in 1 year. So I think what Director Landry has laid out for us in very detailed diagrams and charts, numerous charts, and what the manager has stated to us, his rationale and his thinking behind this, given the fact that we've had plenty of time to think about this, I am prepared to use the finance director and the manager's recommendation in order to do these things. I hesitate to try to run calculations at this point when we have had sufficient time to request these things in advance. Thank you. Are there any other counselors who wish to speak? Counselor Baumgardner, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to echo a few of the points you made, Madam Mayor. In the last 3 years that I've served on the council, and I think we could all agree on this, we've faced a very difficult budget decisions. We've had to make a very difficult budget decisions. In the last couple of years since we began construction on our new schools, we have had to appropriate additional funds towards debt service to pay for the new schools coming online. Those payments will continue in future years, and that is the lion's share of the increases that we will be paying now and again in the future. Additionally, our Board of Education delivered a budget with a very marginal, very small increase. Quite frankly, one could argue we've level funded education for several years now. As the mayor mentioned, we could very well the Alliance District designation should we lose that, which obviously would be a good thing for our school district. That would also represent a significant loss in state revenue as well, unless that is made up through additional appropriations or ECS formula reforms in the future. We have made very great strides to increase our reserves. Right now, we have a goal of at least 15% of our maintaining a fund balance of at least 15% of our budget. And with this budget, it looks, if I'm not mistaken, it'll be around 20%, which is when rating agencies every year come to our community, they look at that and they will see that we are have enough funds should there be any event where we will need to tap into those funds. We will do so without making significant cuts in areas that we need to make our payments towards, such as debt service to our schools. So that will keep us in good graces with those rating agencies. So should we borrow in the future, we can maintain low interest rates. So I will support this budget. We have also made our fiduciary commitments to our subdivisions, both in the city of Groton and Groton Long Point, appropriating their requests for the highway and the police department. And so when we make these, spending decisions, there is a cost to it. And we did so without sacrificing the wonderful city, town, and services in our school budget as well. So respectfully, I cannot support tapping into any additional fund balance to reduce the mill rate. I think what
Your time is up, Councilor Baumgardner.
what Manager Burt and Director Landry have proposed is, it's a good plan. So, and just wanted to thank the RTM as well for their efforts. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any other first-time hands before we go to second-time speakers? Councilor Bordelon, you have the floor.
Thank you. I just want to double clarify. So there's no other funds that could positively impact that we're expecting that could change any of the numbers that have yet not been calculated because we have not received them in this particular budget.
I would say that no, the LoSiP funds could be used in the future for capital improvement projects, and we still don't have firm guidance on the CRF funding, but and that would be in the future for probably things outside of the budget. John, Town Manager Burt, I don't know if you want to add to that.
I think you're exactly right. It's the ARP dollars and the CARE Act dollars were not meant to substitute for tax dollars. It's to do new programs and to help the public.
Okay. All right. I'm for the way the RTM and town council voted. I just am looking at the fund balance number and wondering if that number could be changed to offset the mill rate. Thank you.
Any other first-time speakers? Councilor Baumgartner, you have the floor.
Yeah, I'll be brief. I also wanted to note the American Rescue Plan funds could, I shouldn't say supplement, but should there be any projects in certain neighborhoods or programs in the future that hypothetically could be funded by town spending in the future that we wouldn't have had the capacity to do because we couldn't afford it. Those are projects that could be funded by those funds in the future. So, that could provide some relief down the road to the town once we get, again, additional guidance from the state and feds as to how we can, allocate and utilize those funds. I would also note, one last point, during budget deliberations, we talked extensively about providing a budget to taxpayers that would not sacrifice, existing services. And had we passed a budget that, level funded services, that would have resulted in a reduction of those services. We've continued to invest in our town operations, and I think that our residents are appreciative of that. So, the RTM. Just a quick question though to Manager Burt or Director Landry. I understand the RTM reduced the appropriation to debt service and just the Capital Reserve Fund to a tune of about 90,000, and just wanted to better understand the rationale behind that and what the reason for that.
If I remember correctly, that's mainly the Sutton Park bathroom on the CIPs. That did have two kind of separate rooms in that little facility that was being planned. The RTM decided that basically unisex one room would be enough.
All right, great. That's very helpful. And then there was about 2,000 for voter registration as well.
Yes, that was there was 2,000 in there for raises for the voter registrars. Similar to the town clerk, there's certain times when you can do increases for pay, and we're not able to at this time. You have to be at least 2 years into the current term in order to do that.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much.
Okay. We will vote on 2021-407, establishment of tax rate for general fund FYE 2022. We are at 7 councilors. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Borderline.
Borderline, is that an abstention or an?
That's a correct. Abstain.
Abstain. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
6 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 abstention. Borderline. That motion passes. We are on to 3B, 2021-408, establishment of tax rate for Mumford Cove District Fund. This was on page 8 in your packet. And we are on to Councilor Franco, please.
Make a motion to recommend a resolution to establish the tax rate for Mumford Cove District Fund for FYE 2022. I so move.
Second, Bordelon.
Moved by Franco and seconded by Bordelon. Director Landry?
As you know, the Mumford Cove taxpayers pay to cover mainly fire protection for the Knowing Fire District. So it's this year I am proposing to maintain the current mill rate at 0.33 mils. There's very little change in Mumford Cove over the years.
Thank you, Director Landry.
Okay.
Mr. Burt, anything you would like to add?
Nothing for me.
Thank you. Okay, seeing no hands, we will vote on 2021-408 establishment of tax rate for Mumford Cove District Fund, FYE 2022. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? 7 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstentions. That is moved unanimously. We are on to item 3C, 2021-410, establishment of tax rate for Groton Sewer District, FYE 2022. And this is Councilor Heed, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll make a motion to recommend a resolution to establish the tax rate for Groton Sewer District Fund for fiscal year ending 2022. I so move.
Second, Franco.
Moved by Heed and seconded by Franco. Director Landry?
Yes, in proposing the mill rate for the sewer district, when we prepared the preliminary mill rates after the town council's budget, we had not had the bond sale at that time. And when we sold the bonds for the sewer district, for the treatment plant project, as you know, the sewer district pays for the debt service for that. And we received a significant bond premium on those when we sold those bonds. So we had more revenue than I had anticipated back in May. So because of that additional revenue, I'm proposing that we use some additional fund balance for the sewer district and decrease the mill rate from the 0.56 to a 0.37 for fiscal 22.
Thank you, Director Landry. Mr. Burt, anything to add?
Nothing. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was going down.
Okay, seeing no questions, we will vote on 2021-410 establishment of tax rate for Groton Sewer District. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved unanimously with 7 councilors. And we are on to item 3D, 2021-405, Cable Television Advisory Council of Southeastern Connecticut 2021 Grant Program. This is page 10 in your packet. And I believe this is Councilor Aubry, please.
Okay, let's see.
The resolution is actually on page 11.
Thank you. Motion to recommend a resolution authorizing the town manager, John Burrett, to execute all grant documents and accept grant funding for the Cable Television Advisory Council 2021 grant program. I so move.
Second, Franco.
Moved by Aubry and seconded by Franco. And Mr. Greeley is here, not behind a camera. So I will turn it over to you, sir, to introduce this item to us. Thank you.
Hi, I'm actually not even in the studio. I'm actually home today.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. The Cable Advisory Council of Southeast Connecticut, which I've been a part of for probably the last 30 years, being the secretary, they are offering all towns a opportunity to apply for a grant, and also all school districts within the cable franchise area, the 5 towns of Stonington, North Stonington, Voluntown, and Ledyard and Groton, a chance to apply for a $3,500 grant for equipment that will benefit programming for public education or government access. So we are putting together a grant for the town of Groton to improve government television access. And what we're looking to do is to add in pan tilt zoom cameras into the library's meeting rooms where we record a lot of programming when we're back up into normal times. We do several programs a month in that room where we wheel equipment over. We want to tie that into our studio, similar to the equipment that we have in the annex and at the senior center, so that we can actually control it from back in the in the studio, and we don't really have to set anything up. The cameras will be mounted on the walls, and off we go, and we can record or shoot out to the television channel live or stream. And so the money actually comes from with the Cable Advisory Council. The cable companies are required to provide $2,000 every year to the Cable Advisory Council out of state statute and regulations. That's been going on for decades. It's part of, I want to say it's kind of the legacy regulations and rules for cable. Back in the day when we had, franchise hearings, there was possibility that there might be some litigations or, they might need some counsel. So the way to get the advisory council some funding to provide for that kind of service was to give them, money from the cable companies every year, $2,000. Well, we don't really have franchise hearings anymore, and that money is still getting collected. And so the Cable Advisory Council really wanted to turn it back to the viewers and put it back to the community. And they thought this was the best way to do that, was to improve community access through public education and government access.
Thank you. And Director Miele is here. Did you wish to add anything, ma'am?
I just wanted to say, Sean has obviously looked for every opportunity to find grants and improve cable access for our community. So I'm really thrilled that he found another opportunity for Groton. Thank you.
Thank you both for looking out for these grants. Oh, wonderful. Councilor Parker is with us. It is 7:09, so we are at 8 councilors. Councilor Parker, we are on item 3D, the Cable TV Advisory Council Grant Program, and the motion is on the floor. Moved by Obrey and seconded by Franco. Mr. Greeley and Director Miele just spoke to the grant. All right, I just want to thank you both for seeking these grants on behalf of the community, and you do a great job of providing access to government affairs for the public, so thank you. Councilors have questions or comments? Councilor Bordelon.
Thank you. Thank you so much for applying for these grants. It's really important to bring extra funding, and I appreciate your work on that. You said the 3,500 and you brought up the school district. Is it 35 for the whole town, including the town government and the school, or can the school also apply for 3,500?
The school can apply for 3,500. So really between the town and school district, it's $7,000 for each community, for each of the 5 towns. They're also going to provide Southeastern Connecticut Television with the opportunity to apply for a grant of $3,500 as well.
Nice. Okay. So this 35 that we're talking tonight is only pertaining to the town side, not for, okay. Thank you.
Right. Yeah, hopefully I'll be checking in with the school board to make sure that they're going to be applying, because they really probably should take advantage of it.
Yeah, absolutely. That was my next question. So I would definitely think that would be great to see that the full town utilizes the opportunity. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no questions, we will vote on 2021-405 Cable TV Advisory Council of Southeastern Connecticut 2021 Grant Program. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved unanimously with 8 councilors. That takes us to the end of the cow agenda. I will entertain a motion to adjourn, please.
Motion to adjourn. Bordelon.
Move to adjourn by Bordelon. Is there a second?
Second, Heed.
Seconded by Heed. All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved unanimously with 8 councilors. It is 7:11 and the special cow meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Madam Clerk, are you ready for the council meeting?
Yes, I am.
All right, very good. Liam, are you ready for the council meeting? Very good. Let me just get myself organized. So we are on to the council packet now, which was included in the same email that we had before. Okay. Mr. Burt, all set?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Good evening. It is Tuesday, June 1st. It is 7:12. This is the Groton Town Council regular meeting. Madam Clerk, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilors Bordelon, Baumgarter, Franco, Heed, Aubrey, Parker, and Melendez and Granatoski are here. So we're Councilor Zapiri, who informed us that he would not be attending, is the only missing counselor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilor Aubrey, would you lead us in a salute to the flag, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice to all.
Thank you, Councilor Aubrey. Recognitions, awards, and memorials, 2021-409, 2021 Pride Month Proclamation. And we will go to Councilor Melendez for this, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There was a flag raising earlier today at Town Hall at noon, and this proclamation was prepared at the request of a member of the LGBTQ community in Groton. So I'll have it read now. It says, Proclamation recognizing Pride Month. Whereas Groton celebrates Pride Month with a pride flag raising ceremony to honor the history of the LGBTQ liberation movement and to publicly express its desire to fully include and welcome members of the LGBTQ community as essential to our community. And whereas the rainbow flag is widely recognized as a symbol of pride, inclusion, celebration, and support for our LGBTQ community, and whereas members of the LGBTQ community have had immeasurable impact to the cultural, civic, and economic successes of our country, and whereas while society at large increasingly supports LGBTQ equality, it is essential to acknowledge that the need for education and awareness remains vital to end discrimination and prejudice. And whereas celebrating Pride Month influences awareness and provides support and advocacy for Groton's LGBTQ community, and is an opportunity for community members to take action and engage in dialogue to strengthen alliances, build acceptance, and advance equitable practices. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Groton Town Council does hereby proclaim the month of June 2021 as Pride Month in support of our LGBTQ community. And be it further resolved, the rainbow flag will be raised on this day, June 1st, 2021, recognizing all LGBTQ residents whose influential and lasting contributions to our neighborhoods make Groton a vibrant community in which to live, work, and visit. Signed, Patrice Granatoski, Mayor of the Town of Groton.
Thank you, Councilor Melendez, for reading that proclamation. We are on to Roman numeral 4. We have no public hearings this evening. Excuse me?
I'm sorry, I had put up my hand. All right, never mind. I was just going to mention something.
Can it wait till communications, or is it?
It's in reference to, I was just going to mention that the city had as well had a ceremony that I attended, and where they raised the flag also. They had a group there from the high school and from the middle school, and it was a very nice event, also with a proclamation.
Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. Okay, we are on to receipt of citizens' petitions, comments, and concerns. This is the portion of the council meeting where the council welcomes comments from citizens. You have all who are here have followed the process for the virtual meeting to log in and sign in. When you are recognized by the mayor, please clearly state your name and address and speak clearly for the public. Each presentation should be limited to 5 minutes or less, and citizens should, if possible, submit written comments. Presentation should be related to matters pertinent to Groton. Town councilors will only ask questions in order to clarify the speaker's presentation and can respond during the response to citizens petition portion of the meeting. All right, and we have, I believe, we have 9 or 10 people signed up to speak. And the first is Becca Welt, please. Good evening, Ms. Welt. You have the floor?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Excellent. My name is Becca Welt from 32 Boulder Court in Mystic. Thank you for allowing me the chance to speak. I'm here to continue to express my opposition to the Restler plan for the development of the oral school. It is simply the wrong fit for the area. I'd also like to thank Councilor Bordelon for listening to the concerns that have been shared by residents and for trying to answer the questions we have raised. And I hope that a true dialogue can be held between the council and the residents regarding this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Linda Vogel. I don't see Ms. Vogel. Let me see if there's no one in attendees.
Moved everyone over to panelists so you can see who's here. Oops, somebody else came over.
Mr. Burt, do you see Ms. Vogel?
Do not.
Okay, thank you. We will go on. Marie T. Wiley, and I'm not seeing Ms. Wiley either. Help me out if you see her and I do not, please let me know. Okay, I'm not.
I don't either.
Ms. Wiley, thank you. I do see Ms. Tillman. Ms. Tillman, you have the floor. You're muted, Ms. Tillman.
Now, can you hear me?
We can indeed. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and councilors. I am Wanda Tillman of 925 River Road. My husband, Van Brown, will be sharing the screen. He also signed up to speak. So whenever he speaks, it will be in the same screen. I attended the extremely well-run, well-organized parking in downtown Mystic meeting. The consultant had several points and comments raised by people on the meeting that had not been considered in his plan, which he noted as having merit and is adding to his plan. He has been at this for a while in planning parking for various cities and towns in the New England area. He said a conversation brings out unique points which he had not been able to consider, unique points that pertain to downtown Mystic only. It was very interesting to see the critical thinking, the analytical minds of those engaged in this dialogue in this meeting. I found myself once again absolutely ecstatic at the commitment and the wonderful minds that the town of Groton has among its residents. In the end of that meeting, it was said that community conversations are a critical component to planning. That is something I would like for you to remember and to remember totally, because there is another situation in town where we have yet to have a meeting, a community meeting, a community conversation regarding the project at the Mystic Oral School. This is something which could have been addressed years ago, and we could be using our energy, our minds, our talented people in the town of Groton to advance a plan that everyone could get behind. Instead, as of 2016, in an application to the state for funding for advertising the Mystic Oral School property, there were several types of uses that were advanced in that report. Never once has there been a conversation with anyone in this town about the appropriate uses and the appropriate development for the oral school. I find that to be an extremely sad comment, a sad waste of talent, a sad way in which the residents of this town have been trivialized, have been, to use a term I didn't know until a couple weeks ago, cancel cultured. It is unbelievably sad that we have not had these conversations. We find ourselves now in a situation where we are in with a developer who I realize, of course, in 2004 and 2005 was convicted of some pretty serious charges, even though they were misdemeanors. But I think everyone continues to neglect to include that in 2016, he was also convicted for zoning violations. And unfortunately, it would appear from the case that the building inspector who colluded with Mr. Respler lost his job. So where does that leave us? It leaves us with a gentleman who between 2004-5 and 2016 has not changed the way he does business. He is not the proper person with whom to do business. The council has not required him to meet any of the marks in the development agreement. He has not been required to take any of the steps delineated in that agreement. Further, his plans have gone from 750 to 931 to a hotel, to a this, to a that. Every time we hear from him, it's more. I think he's playing a game with us. I think he thinks that we are highly unsophisticated little brutes.
A minute left.
And that he keeps trotting out mega development so that when he drops back to 300, 400 units, that we'll all feel relieved, when the appropriate plan would have been something that we should have all talked about a long time ago, and we should have done a considered approach to this. It is an RU80 parcel. Do not forget that, RU80. The residents of this town deserve better. They deserve to be treated more like important people, important citizens. And I think we need to backtrack, resolve the relationship, and get on with our lives in a positive way. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Tillman. Before we go on to Mr. Brown, I see Ms. Vogel has joined us. Linda Vogel, hi, you're muted.
I'll move on. I'd like a point of clarification.
Am I muted still?
No, one moment, please. The counselor has a point of clarification. Yes, Counselor Franco.
I'd like to ask the town manager, because in 2016, it was stated that the developer was convicted in 2016. And from what I understand, it was a civil case and there's no criminal charges for conviction. And I just want to make sure this is clarified before we move on.
I would prefer we keep that until we get to the responses, please. Mr. Burt, if you could make a note of that, please. And then when the public is done with their speaking, then we can come back to that.
I will.
Okay, you did. There's a plane going by and I don't know if you heard me or not. I apologize. All right, so Ms. Vogel, I'm not sure if you were listening at the beginning. If you could please state your name and address, and you have 5 minutes. Thank you.
My name is Linda Vogel. I live at 358 Pequot Avenue, Mystic, Connecticut, and I'm not quite ready to speak yet. Will I have a chance later?
No, this is the citizens petitions portion of the meeting.
Oh, then I would simply like to support what Attorney Tillman just said. And I am very concerned about the town's trivializing of Mr. Respler's criminal and civil background. If he was convicted of a zoning violation in 2016, I'm not sure it's relevant whether it was civil or criminal. The problem for us is he wants to change the RU80 to a different zoning, and he has a history of not complying with requirements, of bribery, of paying off town officials. And I really am very concerned, as others have said, that there has been no public hearing from the residents of the town of Groton regarding a huge development. So that's my statement.
Thank you very much. And I don't believe Ms. Wiley came in. I'm just taking a quick peek around. I don't see Ms. Wiley here. So next on the list is Mr. Brown. You're muted.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Madam Mayor and councilors. My name is Van Brown, 925 River Road, Mystic. I am here to ask you to hear us, truly hear us, not just endure us. We are pro-Groton, not pro-Mystic River Bluffs. I do not believe one person involved believes that the oral school property should remain fallow and allowed to molder into the ground. We are not opposed to development, just not the neighborhood monstrosity that is proposed. Pretty neighborhood of modest but very nice homes. How could anyone in their wildest imaginings believe that this outsized development by an inexperienced at this scale developer be appropriate? Preferred developer does not appear to be the sterling individual one would hope to have develop a critical piece of land with the largest project in Groton. He has a convicted criminal background, including bribery and egregious zoning violations as recently as 2016. Not exactly boyish hijinks. As a judge involved stated, this does not pass the smell test. Not exactly the sort of person you'd want to bring home. Groton is our home. You commissioned a study called the Redevelopment of Mystic Education Center, Groton. In that study, it states access to the property is from Oral School Road, a narrow 2-lane road that intersects the Mystic Street to the north and Cow Hill Road, a residential street to the south. It should be noted that Cow Hill Road is a rural residential street not designed to handle major automobile traffic. Restler's own figures for residential parking are from 1.5 to 3 cars per unit. At the higher end, that would be 2,793 extra cars on Cow Hill Road at least twice a day, on a road carrying 6,000 cars per day already. This does not include any attractions adding traffic. All roads would have to be rebuilt, the study stated. The immediate area is a quiet residential neighborhood, which means certain uses, especially high traffic volume inducing uses, will be incompatible with the surrounding properties. Specifically, uses that would induce new truck traffic are especially problematic. The site is not located adjacent to any major roads and has poor visibility. Access to the site is limited to low volume residential streets. Local roads leading to the site are poorly maintained and in need of repair. As far as the hotel, existing hospitality and lodging market is competitive. There are 17 businesses that fall into the accommodations industry category in close proximity to the site, including several national chain hotels just across the Mystic River. The competitive hospitality market will make it challenging for a new entrant into the market. Some have already failed. There are several factors that make office development a poor option for the site. There is some potential for retail development in Groton, but the Mystic Education Center is not well suited to this use. This would make retail use infeasible for a cost perspective. Furthermore, the town should encourage any retail development in its commercial core areas to enhance the viability and vibrancy of these areas. Market rate housing has moderate potential because of the unique amenities and ease of commuting. However, it is isolated from services, isolated location, and no significant population growth. The town would have to assume the cost of off-site improvements, such as brownfield cleanup, maintenance, etc. The town would need to balance the interest in seeing the site develop and not overextending its resources. Further, it should be noted that given the town's desire to attract high-quality mixed-use development to the downtown design district, care should be taken to make sure development on the Mystic Education Center not compete with the town's vision for economic development along the Route 1 corridor.
You have 1 minute, sir.
Thank you. In plain terms, don't eat your children. Traffic mitigation and road improvement costs would be high given the nature of the existing road system. It appears this development took every negative that the study points out and said, we'll do this, and you appear to be supporting him. No clear explanation of tax incentive financing, but it seemed that all the promised taxes will go to support Restler, and it is the town that is on the hook for underwriting the project. Please remember, when Restler walks away, Whatever he leaves behind will still be here. You will still be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Next on the list is Roseanne Katowski, and I do see Representative Katowski here. Good evening.
Good evening. Roseanne Katowski, 24 Ann Avenue, RTM District 5. The Mystic Oral School property proposal by Respler should immediately be abandoned by the town. I am discouraged and disappointed by some town council members and some town staff. After the recent articles about Respler's criminal history, you would think that the town council would have acted in the best interest of the town and terminated the agreement, an agreement that is not being enforced by the town or complied with by Respler. But unfortunately for everyone, the town council is sticking by this developer. I personally do not care one bit about Respler's vision for the Mystic Oral School property. It seems that the town council believe that this project is a revenue generator. But wait a minute, not so fast. After the tax abatement and TIF, tax incremental financing, that is needed for this project to move forward, what will the actual cost be to the taxpayers? An independent financial assessment must be made as to what the actual cost will be versus the actual revenue. Recently, we have learned that Respler needs $160 million in loans and $33 million in TIF money. How did we learn this? We had to FOI the selection committee documents, which were being withheld by town staff and should have been made public with all the other documents in the Town of Groton website. Again, an independent financial assessment must be made, and now. This is not a good project for the Mystic Oral School property, for the neighbors and community, and for the Town of Groton. Town staff, elected and volunteer officials should move forward and support projects that are appropriate and good for the community. This project is neither. It's time to stop this project from moving forward. If you would like to join us in our fight against this proposal, please join Mystic Oral School Advocates by emailing info@stopthebluffing.org or visit our website, mysticoralschooladvocates.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Katowski. Next is Genevieve Cerf. Good evening. You're muted, Genevieve.
I know, I just unmuted.
Thank you. You have the floor.
Okay, and I've taken my headphones off. Yeah, my name is Genevieve Cerf. I live at 6 Pearl Street in Mystic, and I'm speaking to you again for the second time. I'm a former town councilor. I've had 3 terms on the RTM, and I've basically been involved in the political system since 2020 when I moved back here. Not 2020, 2000, the year 2000 when I moved back here. And I got talked by Priscilla Pratt, the wonderful Catherine Pratt's mother, into going up to town hall and making a citizen's petition for a new dog pound. That's how I got my start. Let me tell you, when I first looked at the budget numbers for the dog pound, I really wondered what I was doing there. But 20 years later, I'm starting to understand the problem. And I want to address you, counselors, specifically, because I've been there. I know you're under a lot of stress to do economic development, because that everybody seems to be like, that is the cure-all. Like for a crying baby, give him a lollipop and he'll stop crying. But you know, in a neighborhood like this, with this beautiful town of Mystic, which is so popular, everybody's writing about it. My friends in New York are telling me Mystic is the latest place to go. You really have to, you absolutely have to compromise and maintain the character of Mystic, which is unlike any other, because if you don't, you're going to turn into a Newport or a Provincetown or any of these other formerly wonderful places that have been absolutely ruined. I was in Martha's Vineyard lately and it's been ruined. Nantucket has been ruined. You're going to ruin Mystic at this rate. You have a chance to turn it around. You have a chance to talk to people who live here. You know, everybody wants economic development. Nobody wants our taxes to be higher. And so I'm appealing to you, you know, Mayor Granatowski, Conrad, I've known for a long time. I know you mean well, A little less longer, I've known Juliet Parker and I've known Andre Baumgartner. I also know you guys you mean well. Portia Bordelon was absolutely wonderful at the last meeting in acknowledging that there was something kind of rotten in the state of Denmark here. And she very cleverly and courageously, in my opinion, said, wait a minute. She said, I can't go along with this. And I'll listen. She said she's going to listen more and therefore ask for more information. And here we've all found out that this developer is in fact corrupt. It is not, Councilor Franco. It is not a minor misdemeanor. It is major what he's done. In all the cases where he was found guilty and you know, fined $1 million, you don't find $1 million for a misdemeanor. This man is not, you know, a responsible developer. And as a former member of Groton Open Space Association, I can tell you that we've worked with two kinds of developers. We worked with a kind of developer, one, for instance, who wanted to buy and build on a property that had a extraordinarily huge and beautiful wetlands, the most prolific in all of Connecticut, we were told. That man secretly, behind everybody's backs, went and drained the wetlands before the Wetlands Committee could actually go visit the site. I mean, without anybody, not asking anybody or doing anything like that. That same developer had built a pool in his previous development in Cape Cod without going against the permissions of the planning department. We worked with some wonderful developers on the reservoir who helped us keep as many trees as possible, keep buffers between driveways, do a community association agreement that they wouldn't wash their cars in their driveways and they wouldn't pesticides on their lawn, all these things. So there are two kinds of developers. We're not against all kinds of development. We're against the kind of bad developer. When I heard Restler talking about the pond and how he was going to build all this stuff around the pond, again, that's a wetland. I'm thinking, oh my God, all those animals, those creatures that we try to protect, he's going to completely ignore that. Then I went up there, I started thinking about the trees that overlook the Mystic River. Because when he's talking about Mystic River views, he's either talking about, you know, on top of the 4-story parking garages, or he's going to cut all the trees down. You know, again, probably in the dead of night without telling anybody. These are things that you have to take into consideration. And you have to trust the people with the experience. We should even go back to, you know, people like Harry Watson and people like that who have a lot of experience with these things and not put us in a pickle again, like with the Flanders Road development, where the infrastructure was way, way more expensive than any tax benefit that we would have gotten from it. Mick O'Barron talked until he was blue in the face, until he was, and you know, he was all for development also, but he knew that the growth in the tax base was going to be about $1 million a year. Did not make it worth it for us to put $10 million worth of infrastructure
Your
up
time is up, Ms. Surf.
The infrastructure that we put in for the industrial park near the Marriott, that never paid off a single thing.
Thank you.
We have a lot of projects.
I did not do that. Thank you, Ms. Surf.
Okay, I'm back. How much more do I have?
You've used your time. Thank you.
Wait, I can't hear you, Patrice.
You've used your time.
You muted?
No.
Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, headphones.
You've used all your time.
I've used all my time. Okay, yeah. So anyway.
Thank you very much.
Can I just say one more thing? I know you're trying very hard.
Other people,
and you're not
other people waiting to speak.
There's certain people who are kind of grouches and not respectful.
Ms. Surf,
in our group, with Roseanne and Beth and all the people who've joined forces here, we do respect you. We're counting on you to do the right thing. And we can't be counting on you to do the right thing if we're going to be criticizing you and being mean to you. So I just want you to know that I respect you. And I'm urging everyone to respect you, and we want to work with you on this.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We have 3 more speakers this evening, and I'm just looking to see if Mr. Westervelt is here. Oh yes, there, the stack of books. Good evening, Mr. Westervelt. You have the floor, sir.
Good evening, everyone. How are you? I hope you can hear me. Okay, my name is Scott Westervelt. I live at 7 Boulder Court in Mystic, Connecticut. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, councilors, for giving me the opportunity to speak. I will speak out about the displeasure I have with the way that the Mystic Educational Center, as it's called by some, or the Mystic Oral School property, how that's being developed, how that whole project's being run. It seems quite unfair. I'll be brief. We've gone through all the paperwork. We pointed out on numerous occasions that the developer has not met any of his benchmarks. Nothing he's done has come in on time or has even been submitted at this point, which in the various positions that I've had, you can't do that. That's disingenuous to your customer, and it's disingenuous to the people in the town that you're serving. The most recent lapse of a deadline is not one for the town. However, it should be something for the town to go to the state and say, we can't do this. We can't put up with this. At the 18-month mark, the purchaser, Respler, through the purchase and sales agreement with the state, he should have by then met all of his purchasing requirements. And it says in Section 8, paragraph D, if purchaser is unable to obtain all of the purchaser approvals within 18 months of the effective date of this agreement, the conditional approval date, either party shall have the right to terminate this agreement upon 10 days prior written notice to the other party. I would say we're beyond the 18-month mark, and who is it in the town of Groton who's responsible for telling the state that, look, we've had enough, and tell the state that, they have a legal out now. Before they had said they were legally bound to sign this and legally bound to court the developer in finishing this project. According to this, the purchase and sale agreement for the state, that's no longer valid. And so somebody at the town level protecting the rights of the Groton town taxpayers should be stepping up and telling the state enough is enough. Again, I will thank you very much for all your efforts. I know it's tough, but I do appreciate your listening to us, and hope you understand that there's nothing personal here. We just want what is best for our area, and 931 units and the destruction of a wilderness type area through the woods and everything else, and the potential destruction of an entire neighborhood's system of wells and septic systems is just not right for us. And so we need to be looked out for because of that. I very much appreciate your time and hope you all have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Westervelt. Next up, we have Chris Kuhn.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thanks for the opportunity to speak this evening. My name is Chris Kuhn, and I live at 104 Irving Street in Groton. I want to express serious reservations about the proposed Mystic River Bluffs project on the site referred to as the Oral School and also the Mystic Education Center. I cite these concerns not as a neighbor on an adjoining property, but as a member of the larger Mystic community. I would like to take issue with the implied characterization in the Day editorial of May 28th that those who oppose the project have the perspective sometimes negatively referred to as not in my backyard. Direct neighbors have the most at stake, but Greater Mystic has much to lose if this proposal goes through. Promoters of the Mystic River Bluffs call the project smart growth. On the contrary, I feel greatly worried about the project's size and density in relation to the site and all that may mean for the surrounding area. I am concerned about the shifting picture of where this project is going and what appears to be an alarming potential for project creep. By my understanding, the initial proposal from the developer, Respler Homes LLC, called for something over 700 units. Then Respler purchased an adjoining property, ostensibly to be able to address road access, and the number of units swelled to 931. In the face of community concern about the size of the project, among other worries, Respler suggested he may start with 300 units. But if this were the case, he did not know if or when he could follow through on his commitment to renovate the two existing buildings, the Oral School building and the Pratt building. If there's been no community-wide opposition to the Mystic River Bluffs project thus far, it may be because the project is a shifting target. No one knows what it is. That is part of the problem. As a Groton resident, only just beginning to scrutinize this project, I see the following to be salient features of the situation. The developer has not provided a clear plan to Groton residents nor to the Planning and Zoning Commission. He has not met numerous deadlines to provide cost and project information set out in the development agreement. Prospective financing arrangements with the town could end up obligating Groton taxpayers to shoulder major costs associated with the project. Added to this is the fact that the developer has a criminal history that has only recently come to light, raising further question as to his trustworthiness. I believe it could be argued that the red flags mark this project as fatally flawed. As a Groton resident, I want to see our local government act on behalf of our community by preserving the character and quality of life that make Mystic a place where people want to live and to visit. By protecting us from potential unforeseen financial liabilities such as could result from this project. And by providing transparency and enabling timely input regarding a project of such magnitude and significance as this one proposes to be. I submit my concerns to you today with the hope and expectation that over coming weeks and months, many, many others will raise their voices as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And the last person we have signed up to speak this evening is Penelope Miller, I'm sorry. Ms. Miller, you have the floor. Ms. Miller?
Okay.
Hi, we can hear you now. Thank you. You have the floor.
Good evening, everyone. This is Penny Miller, 56 Hancock Drive in Mystic. Previously in this forum, I have expressed my opinion that the proposed Mystic River Bluffs mega development and the resulting increase in population and traffic would have a disastrous effect on the surrounding rural and historic neighborhoods and on Scenic River Road. This evening, I'm going to focus on 6 additional concerns and questions I have about the Mystic River Bluff proposal. Most of these relate to financial matters. Number 1, will there be a demand for this amount and type of housing in the future? It is a leap of faith to assume that Electric Boat will always employ as many workers as it does today. Workforce levels have fluctuated widely in the past 30 years. Following the downturn in the defense industry in the early 1990s, EB's workforce declined from over 20,000 to around 10,000. Pfizer has been downsizing its Groton workforce for decades. Number 2, the narrow roads surrounding the Oral School cannot support the increased traffic that can be expected from the Mystic River Bluffs. Who will pay for the upgrades to these roads? Will the necessary upgrades require taking property by eminent domain on Cow Hill Road, Oral School Road, and High Street? And who will pay for these upgrades? Number 3, what will other infrastructure upgrades to water, sewer, and power cost taxpayers and ratepayers? Will they result in a permanent increase in taxes and utility costs? Number 4, the Pratt building. How much maintenance to the Pratt building has the state done in the 40 plus years since the Oral School was closed? How extensive is the damage to the masonry due to chlorine from the pool during the 30 years that the pool and gym were leased to Groton? And how can it be remediated short of total reconstruction? Who would really pay for this? How much would it cost Groton taxpayers to maintain and operate the Pratt Building going forward? Number 5, the developer has gotten assurances from the town of Groton for tax credits and tax abatements. Just how will these affect the mill rate and the taxes that will have to be paid by Groton residents and businesses? Number 6, in a recent letter to the editor published in the Day, R.A. Voyer wrote, quote, in view of the potential significant impacts of Mystic River Bluffs on the area, this council owes residents a thorough cost-benefit analysis of the proposal by independent forensic accountants. Nothing less will suffice. Unquote. Many readers commented on this letter and agreed with his call for an audit. Has the council considered having such an analysis performed? And if not, we are asking that you do so. My fear is that one of the very benefits touted for Mystic River Bluffs, i.e. the increased tax revenues, would be more than offset by the increased costs to the town and ultimately the taxpayers. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Mr. Burt, that's all I have signed up to speak this evening on the list that I received. Is that correct?
Yes, that's all I have too.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's see. It was Councilor Franco who had a point of clarification that she raised, and I asked her to hold on that. So we will go to response to citizens' petitions. Okay, just looking at some things here. Councilor Franco, did you wish to restate your point of clarification?
It was noted that the developer had a conviction in 2016, which would state that he would be in a criminal proceeding. And I was under the impression that it was a civil issue, and in cases you're not usually convicted. Is that correct? Or can you clarify with the situation?
That is correct. It was a civil matter, not a criminal matter, meaning there would not be a conviction.
Thank you. I would like to respond to citizens. I thank you all for coming out. I have recently shared information on social media that trying to clear up misinformation and to let the residents in the community understand some issues that are related to taxes or to size or to that basically all in all, we're all sitting here waiting for the Planning and Zoning Commission to make a decision on a text amendment change. And without that, I believe there are contractual deadlines that are at stake, but we would not do a Pratt building lease nor a TIF agreement and hash all that out if we don't even know what the future holds. Without the text amendment change, if there will be one within the Planning and Zoning Commission. At a previous meeting, I had requested the town manager, along with the staff, to have a community meeting. So much of the misinformation or information can just get out to the community. And he said he would be working on that. I took down a lot of notes. I have a lot of things that I realize the community doesn't understand. And I think that, like it has been said in previous meetings, that we all need to do better in getting this information out to people. But I do want to make it known that when I share information on social media, it is not to dismiss your concerns. It is to share the information that I have witnessed that has come here through the council that I'm aware of and that I know, and I want to share with my community. I'm not saying your concerns are invalid, but there is much information out there, misinformation out there that I am trying to clean up. So I thank you for coming, and I am listening. Thank you.
Councilor Aubrey, you have the floor.
Thank you. I want to thank the people that have spoken tonight. I hear what you're saying, and I think maybe our world is reaching a point where we could have a formal presentation for the public. It's something we have not been able to do because of the pandemic, and it's probably exacerbated a lot of what's happening. I had tried at the beginning to answer a lot of the emails and share my concerns and et cetera, noting that I'm in favor of a project at the Mystic Oral School. But quite honestly, they became so abusive and so rude and so demeaning, I chose not to answer them anymore. I think that there's a way for this to be worked out. I'll tell you honestly, you hit my hot spots sometime when you refer to Mystic as the town of Mystic. There seems to always be this separation when we all know it's Groton and we're trying to do what's good for Groton. But we do hear what you're saying, and we do want to go forward in a positive manner, ask questions that need to be asked, and make some decisions. As Rachel said, until planning and zoning takes on one action, nothing can go forward. And at this point, there's nothing for us to say other than that this has to happen. So please understand that you are heard, that the council has agonized over what might be best to do, but until certain things take place, there's nothing we can do. I speak for myself when I say that I encourage development in the town of Groton, and I think all the council does, but we don't want to do it where we aggravate the people that live in the immediate area. So let's move forward to trying to have that meeting where questions can be asked and answered, and we can find some way to go forward. So, we've done a lot of work as a council on Zoom meetings, which makes it very, very difficult. And interaction with the community has just really stopped. And it's almost an impossible situation. I thank my fellow councilors for being as determined as they are to try to keep things moving in a positive manner. And the town manager and the mayor have done a supreme job, as I feel that our planning department and our economic development department has also. So
your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilor Borderline, you have the floor.
Thank you. Just like a lot of people have said tonight, I hear your concerns. I do stand with you in addressing those concerns and making sure that your voices are heard. I think it's really important for any good development in any section of town to go forward. You have to have the people seated around the table that live in the area that are impacted the most by this development to have a say and have hands in that development for it to move forward. And that way there can be a consensus and an agreement for the community at large. I heard a lot of concerns from a lot of the constituents tonight. Miller, Mrs. Welt, Tillman, to name a few, Katowski, Mrs. Surt, Mr. Westervelt, Mr. Brown. I do believe that we can do better. I do believe that we should have had a meeting sooner than where we are. I think COVID, we've been doing meetings on Zoom and we've breaking those barriers for other things, and we can do that in this situation. I do have concerns about how we proceed and move forward. I believe that we should be making sure we're vetting our our developers and having information in our agreement stating that if there is a criminal background, that we're able to withdraw. Those are the questions I'm going to ask moving forward, and making sure that those things are in an agreement with any new developer that comes in this town. That should be in there no matter. I do have concerns about leasing buildings with a developer and what that may look like long term. As well as the population. I'm for development. I'm for feasible, responsible development in an area that's very dense, narrow, and there also is environmental hazards and concerns from the runoff into the river, also the woodland in the area and the constituents at large with the traffic. So I hear your concerns, and I encourage you guys to keep reaching out and standing your ground and supporting this. I'm not saying that I couldn't support a different deal from this, but I think something more needs to come forward. I'm for economic growth, but it's important to look at our tax base as one of our revenue generators, but not our sole purpose of the money. And I think there should be a better way to make sure that we have an agreement that is vetted so that we can properly look into things. I'm not for changing zoning. If that area is an RU 80, and now we're looking at changing our zoning rewrite now to fit the needs of an agreement for a company, I have concerns with that moving forward. I do not think we should be changing them to meet the needs as we proceed forward. I think those should be in place, and there should be an agreement set and something stated as, if it does not go forward, then what do we do? So I hear the concerns. I have the same concerns, and I tried to support this development as far as I could. And I look to see possibilities and ways that I could support this in the future. Again, as it stands, I do not support it. Thank you.
Any other councilors wish to speak? Councilor Baumgartner, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I too would like to thank the countless individuals who have not just spoken this evening, but to continue to come before our council to voice their concerns for the proposed development at the Mystic Oral School. I do have a few questions just in response to, or just in the aftermath of a few of the citizens opining on the project. I did have a conversation today with the manager just about a handful of items pending this council and in our community. It's nice to get back into the rhythm of normalcy and have face-to-face conversations again. So just quickly want to thank the manager for that opportunity. It was my understanding, Manager Burt, that that Respler now owns property adjacent to the state property, which is about 16 acres. And when the town selected Respler as the preferred developer, that property fell outside of the scope of the proposed agreement. Just quickly, when I was reading the RFP, stated that there would be a 150-foot buffer. And my question is, would that property fall into that buffer? And if so, would that mean the buffer would be, the 150-foot buffer would be smaller than what the, than obviously what the RFP had stated? I'm sorry, a buffer from surrounding homes in the neighborhood.
Well, that property falling out of it would not necessarily, I'd want to have our attorneys look at it, of course, but if it was a separate property not considered as part of an RFP, then that would likely change matters. But, that's going to be handled through planning and zoning, a lot of that in terms of what they'll require for buffers. A lot of that's something that won't be up to us.
All right, thank you, Manager Burt.
Or you, I should say. Sorry.
And just again on that wavelength, obviously our council has voted already on various agreements. Whether it's the purchase and sales agreement, I'm sorry, the development agreement and the fixed tax assessment, whereas the lease agreement was done with the state of Connecticut, and so we will continue to keep a very close eye as the project continues to develop. I've been intimately interested and involved in a lot of these decisions, even going back to when I was a state representative, when the town was looking to convey the property when the town was looking for the state to convey the property directly to them for the development without any strings attached, which meant that there were areas that currently have conservation easements on them that could have been developed, which meant protected open space that obviously could have been developed. And as Councilor Bordelon mentioned, that area does have a significant amount of, significant ecological impact on certainly.
Your time is up, Councilor.
I'm sorry. So with that, I'll yield the floor. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Point of clarification, Madam Mayor.
Yes, Councilor Bordelon.
Yeah, I just had a question. I just want to make sure I'm understanding. Several meetings back, when constituents spoke and I went to ask town staff questions in regards to citizens' questions, I was told, and with no disrespect to Councilor Baumgartner, I just want to be treated the same. I was told that I could not ask direct questions from the constituents to the town staff. So I'm just a little confused is all. Because I have questions as well that I did not ask, because at the prior meeting, 3 meetings ago, I was told that I could not directly ask town staff questions regarding citizens' petitions. So I just wanted to clarify that.
If you have further questions, I would say hold it to communications, please. Thank you.
So
Are there other councilors who wish to respond at this point? If not, Mr. Burt?
Just want to add that the planning department's going to give an update next week at the committee of the whole meeting. As it's been already said, though, until you know what the planning and zoning commission is going to do, you have no idea. There's no idea of what kind of scale the project could possibly be. But the planning commission will the planning department will be here next week, collect questions. The planning commission, I believe, is planning on 1 or 2 workshops in a couple of weeks to discuss the zoning. I'm hoping we'll know more in a couple of weeks. And then the planning commission or the planning department, then we'll try to arrange something live with the public.
Thank you, Mr. Burt. So then next week, when during our committee of the whole, when the planning staff is here during their presentation, we will run the email address at the bottom. And as we would encourage the public, as you have questions as they come up, you can please just send them out to us. And then town staff will be able to respond to them. And perhaps, once we get back to live meetings, we can do something in person. So I'm looking forward to finding space to be able to have live meetings again. But just briefly, thank you all for coming out this evening and for speaking. We appreciate your comments, and you can always reach us by email. So thank you so much. And we are on to the consent calendar. And let's see, Councilor Baumgartner, would you move the consent calendar, please?
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar, which consists of items, May 4th, 2021 meeting minutes, the various appointments and reappointments for April and May, miscellaneous and ad hoc committee appointments, and the special trust funds for the month of May. So moved.
Is there a second on the consent calendar?
Second.
Moved by Baumgartner and seconded by Parker. Thank you. Let's see. Just on behalf of Councilor Zepari, who can't be with us this evening, thanks to all the citizens and the organizations and businesses in the community who have donated so generously to our special trust fund. So thank you very much for that. And Councilor Franco, did you have a comment or a question on the minutes?
Yes, are we in here? Is it the personnel appointments going to be passed as well in here?
The miscellaneous and ad hoc committee appointments. Let me take a quick look at this.
Mayor Granikowski?
Yes.
The packet did have the various appointments listed on page 21.
I'm getting there. I'm on page 20.
Okay, okay.
Yes, these are the miscellaneous and ad hoc committee appointments, 2021, 251. This has 2021, 273 as well listed here. So that is not on the agenda, but it is in the packet. So Councilor Baumgartner or, oh no, it's there. 2021, 273.
Yeah, it's there. 273 is there. Yep.
It is there. It's Roman numeral 7B.
I see them on page 21.
Mm-hmm.
And there is an appointment that I would not vote in favor of.
So then this comes as a recommendation from the Personnel and Appointments Committee. And we would need to break that out, I believe, break that item out and then have a separate vote on that. Is that correct, Madam Clerk?
That is correct. That's the danger of putting these on consent, but that's usually it works, but once in a while it doesn't.
Mm-hmm. So then what we would need to do then is have Councilors Baumgartner and Parker withdraw their motion and their second. And
I withdraw my second.
Thank you. Councilor Baumgartner?
Pardon me, I don't believe that you'd need to do that, Madam Mayor. This is just a recommendation. You don't have to accept these appointments. You know, their suggestions. You don't have to withdraw their votes from committee, though. That would, you don't want to change.
That's not what I'm doing. I'm taking the motion off the floor. Because we have
taking the motion off the floor. Okay.
Yes. So Councilor Parker withdrew her second. Councilor Baumgartner, do you withdraw your motion?
Shit, what's that?
Excuse me.
Oops. I'm sorry.
Withdrawn.
Withdrawn. Thank you. Okay, so then we will need to go through these individually then. So Councilor Baumgartner.
Apologize for that. There was an Amber Alert that just came out. I apologize.
Okay. We're losing people.
Yeah, my phone just went crazy too, so I can understand.
Councilor Baumgartner, would you move the May 4th minutes, please?
Yes, I'll make a motion to move the May 4th meeting minutes consisting of.
Just May 4th meeting minutes, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Aubrey. All those in favor of the May 4th, 2021 minutes, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved unanimously. The minutes, that's 2021-403 May 4th minutes are approved, Madam Clerk. We are on to 20.
I got that.
You got that? Okay, great.
Do you want to skip down to the trust funds?
No, we're just going to take them in order. Thank you. Okay. 2021-273-1, various appointments, reappointment, April and May. Councilor Parker, could you move that, please?
I make a motion to move the appointments. Well, I can read the whole resolution, can't I? I make a motion, the resolution making the following appointments, reappointments to authorized agencies, authorities, boards, commissions, and committees. We resolved that the Town Council appoints the following individuals to the authorized ABCs as noted. Am I reading the names?
I believe we have to.
Okay. Appointment for Danielle Terrell. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I apologize. To the Fair Rent Commission. Appointment of Paula Ziperi to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Appointment. Let me rephrase that. Appointment for alternate for Paula Ziperi as on the Planning and Zoning Commission. Appointment for Matthew Dion as an alternate on the Board of Assessment of Appeals. Appointment of an alternate for Mr. John Goodrich of the Historic District Commission. A reappointment of Zell Stever to the Resilience and Sustainability Task Force. A reappointment to Sarah Kelly for the Resilience and Sustainability Task Force. A reappointment of Jesse Stratton to the Resilience and Sustainability Task Force. a reappointment of W. Frank Bolen, I hope I pronounced that correctly, Resilience and Sustainability Task Force, a reappointment of Victor Villagra to the Resilience and Sustainability Task Force, a reappointment of an alternate for Maggie Jones on the Resilience and Sustainability Task Force, and a reappointment of an alternate for Howard Wise on the Resilience and Sustainability Task Force. I so move.
I will happily second that. Thank you. Councilor Franco, you have discussion on 2021-273-1.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to remove John Goodrich as an appointment as an alternate for the Historic District Commission.
I'm not sure that is the correct process, but I will yield to the clerk.
All right. So I would have suggested you take, since you went this far, to take them individually, and that way you'd have a clear vote on each item and on each appointment or reappointment. Instead of reading them all as Councilor Parker did, to do them individually.
Well, not having known which item it was going to be for, we did it the way we have. So we are at the point now where.
Right. So the best thing to do is to register the vote. I wouldn't suggest removing unless you want to the motion to remove him from this pack and to vote on him individually.
I would like to know. Okay, so there was a suggestion made. There's only been, Councilor Franco has spoken to that. Is there, I don't know if we would need a second to do that, but is there a second to remove Mr. Goodrich from the list of appointments?
I will second Melendez.
Excuse me 1 minute. And I think it would be good to hear justification for the desire to remove the appointee that the Personnel and Appointments Committee has recommended to us. So if you'd like to give your rationale, and then the Personnel and Appointments Committee could provide their reasoning as to why they approved.
Thank you. I would like to remove John Goodrich as an appointment as an alternate to the Historic District Commission, as he has habitually and repetitively shared misinformation, even though he has been given correct information in our community, and has done this time and time again. And I do not think he would serve our town well. From what I have witnessed of his interactions in our community, and does not represent, it's not an elected official position where the town would choose. This is us as a council that we get to choose who gets on these committees. And I do not think he would represent our town in the best light. Thank you.
Councilor Melendez, you seconded, but you're in an awkward position because you seconded that, but you're also on the committee that approved this. So I'm not sure if you seconded for discussion purposes or if you wanted to add something at this point.
Yeah, I think the appointments should be almost always unanimous. So I just wanted to hear Councilor Franco's rationale. Thank you.
Thank you. And as any members of the Personnel and Appointments Committee wish to speak at this point, because we have other counselors that also wish to chime in. So we'll hear from Personnel and Appointments next as to the rationale for why, if you have anything to say about this. I believe the Personnel and Appointments Committee is Chairman Melendez, Councilor Heed, and Councilor Perry, correct? So any, Councilor Perry is not with us. So do Councilor Heed or Melendez wish to speak? If not, I'll go to other councilors because I have 2 hands up.
I have no comments at this time. We interviewed Mr. Goodrich, and yeah, that's all. I'm happy to hear what everybody else has to say, though.
Okay, very good. We'll go to Councilor Bordelon. Comments?
Thank you. I was just going to ask because Councilor Melendez and Councilor Heed, they're part of the Personnel Appointment Committee, and they forwarded this forward to us. So was it a unanimous vote on it between the 3 of you guys? With Joseph, yes, Councilor Perry? Okay. I personally...
I didn't hear. Did Councilor Melendez said yes, it was unanimous?
Yes, it was unanimous.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt, Councilor.
No, that's okay. I mean, I just think in future, we should never just push a whole thing through like this. I think we should go line by line because even though Councilor Franco is objecting to Mr. Goodrich, maybe somebody else might want to abstain from other people, and they should have that right to do such. So I just think it would be good practice. I think town clerk had stated that it would be good to go. I think it would just be good to go through each one to serve them their due diligence. As far as pulling somebody off like this, I can respect Councilor Franco's decision. I just think that it, if it came, what I was told in the past, if it comes from our committee and it was unanimous, we should ask questions, but they did the process. Looking at everybody that's on here up for suggestion, I see unaffiliated Democrats, Republican. I think it's a great bipartisan slate of folks. And I think it is important to have a diverse of opinions. At any given time, anybody can give wrong information. And I think if there's a personal thing, then that should come forward. But I do think that we should go through each line of everyone presented and give everybody the fair and not assume that everybody's unanimous on it. Thank you.
Councilor Aubry, did I see your hand earlier?
I took it back down. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Just for the people at home, if you did not catch what we're talking about, we have an alternate appointment recommended from our Personnel and Appointments Committee for John Goodrich to the Historic District Commission.
Can I make a motion, Madam Mayor?
We have one motion on the floor already, and I'd like to clean that up first, please, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Thank you. Is there any more discussion on Mr. Goodrich's appointment as an alternate to the Historic District? Madam Clerk, I think this is the proper way to proceed, correct?
Yes, that's what I would suggest.
One moment. Councilor Aubry, are you wishing to speak on this again?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to suggest that this particular person be referred back to the committee and let the committee review it and come back to us. I think right now we don't have really enough information, and I think they need to do their due diligence just a little bit more and then come back to us with a recommendation.
They have given us a recommendation, and they recommended Mr. Goodrich unanimously to serve as an alternate on the Historic District.
I understand that, but it's now being questioned, and it would, to me, it would seem like it would be appropriate to go back, but that's just my opinion.
Councilor Heed.
I guess what I would say is I agree with Councilor Aubry. We don't want to create issues or anything, so I have no objection to reviewing the case again. But I need to know, when we're reviewing it, what we're looking for, what the concerns might be. So, but I have no objection to re-reviewing.
So let me ask this: is there a consensus of the council to send the nomination back to the Personnel and Appointments Committee? So far, we have one person who would like to, another person who would like to strike it completely. So I would think the cleanest way to do this would be to take a vote on Councilor Franco's motion, see how that goes, and then we can entertain a motion from Councilor Aubry to send it back to committee if necessary. Let me think about process for a second. I think that would work because then we would clean up that one loose end. And then before we voted on the whole body again, we could have a motion, if Councilor Obrey so chooses, to send any of these back to personnel and appointments. Is that agreeable, Madam Clerk?
I think that you have complete control on this referral back to the committee. It's absolutely in your purview.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's have a vote on the motion and see how this goes. And then if let's just have the vote on the motion first. So all those in favor of removing Mr. Goodrich as an alternate to the Historic District Commission, please raise your hand. And wait till I call your name, please, so that I can, or the clerk can take care of this. Councilor Franco? Any other in favor? Any, okay, opposed, please? Okay, Councilor Melendez?
I'm sorry. I was delayed. I was voting in favor.
You're in favor of removing him?
Yeah.
Melendez? Okay, so we are taking
And
the.
if the chair is in favor, I'll be in favor.
All right.
Wait a minute.
Point of clarification.
Yeah, this is kind of.
It's how is a committee coming forward and giving us information and they unanimously voted for this in favor and now they're opposed.
All right.
All right. Just want to clarify.
Thank you. So let's finish the vote, please. Okay, let's finish the vote, guys. So one more time, I need you to very clearly tell me if you are in favor of this motion to remove Mr. Goodrich from the list of appointees. Councilor Franco is. Councilor Melendez is. Councilor He, do I understand you to be?
I will be, yes.
Are there any other people in favor of removing Mr. Goodrich? Okay, 3 ayes. All those opposed, please raise your hand.
Aye.
Bordelon, Parker, Baumgardner, Granatowski. Councilor Obrey, are you abstaining?
Yes, I am. I don't have enough information.
So the motion to remove Mr. Goodrich fails. 3 in favor, Franco, Melendez, Heed, opposed, Bordelon, Parker, Baumgardner, Granatowski, and 1 abstention. So that's 3, 4, and 1. Madam Clerk, are you set with that vote?
Yes, I have it recorded.
All right, very good. Councilor Obrey, did you wish to make a recommendation at this point?
Yeah, 'cause I'd like to make a recommendation that we send it back to our appointments committee and have further review of John Goodrich for this position.
Point of clarification. 2 of the members here just stated they were opposed. So what are we reviewing? They're here. Councilor Melendez and Councilor Hees just opposed the motion. What is going to change by sending this back? That's the majority.
All right, so Councilor Bordelon, if there is consensus of this council to send it back, then we will send it back. But I would ask that let's see how this goes. And then I will ask for very clear direction as to what the body would like personnel and appointments to look for, because just sending it back blindly is not fair to personnel and appointments or to Mr. Goodrich at this point.
Point of clarification one more time. I was stated tonight that I should have came prepared and sent this an email. If people were opposed or had anything with hesitation, it should have went before this personnel appointment in an email so that it could have been worked out prior to. Thank you.
So noted. So at this point, I have 2 hands. I have the chair of the Personnel and Appointments Committee. So let's hear from him first, and then we can go. Councilor Obrey wanted us to get consensus on her motion, but I will yield the floor to Councilor Melendez as chair of Personnel and Appointments.
Sure.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The personnel and appointments, we reviewed the application, the resume. We had an interview, and everything seemed like it was going to be great. So we voted unanimously in favor. We come to the consent calendar. This is the full body, and there are concerns raised. I prefer that our nominations to these committees be unanimous, if at all possible. So I am more than happy to go back and reconsider the appointment and hear all the concerns that there are. We met with him for a brief period of time, and there's no way we can know everything about them. We make the best decision we can in the moment. And this is the point where other counselors get to voice their opinions. And if they have, that's why we don't appoint them on our own. There's 9 of us and we all get our say. So I'm more than happy to go back and reconsider. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Melendez. Councilor Aubrey, did you wish to say something else? Because if not, Councilor Parker has her hand up as well.
Well, I didn't know if there needed to be more added to that for clarification. I might add to it that I think that the concerns of Councilor Franco should be reviewed in the process.
Thank you. Councilor Parker.
Can I ask the chair a question, Madam Mayor?
Yes, please.
In reviewing these applications, this is specific applications, are there in-depth questions for each person? Are the questions asked of each person the same thing?
No, not the same exact questions for each person, no.
So when we're reappointing or getting new people, maybe a suggestion that we have the same type of questions all the time so that there's no conflict of interest or there's no, for instance, when you're hiring someone, you have to ask that person the same questions to each person applicant. I'm suggesting maybe we come up with some questions and go from there, because now we're going to send someone back. Then if we have concerns about everyone else, we're going to send them back, but you guys have no follow-up questions or concerns. So who's going to be the point person to get these questions out? And would that be the council trying to decide, help you decide? Or would the Personnel and Appointments Committee come up with questions?
Those are very good points. Thank you. Councilor Bordelon.
Thank you. I can agree with Councilor Parker. What is the process then? On one hand, this came to us unanimously. It was in our agenda packet as stated. It is hard sometimes last minute to want to change your mind, which is part of democracy. So Councilor Franco brings up a point that she'd like this reconsidered. It was not discussed in email. It was not brought before. And then we have a vote, and 2 of the people that are on the committee vote against and want to remove them. So I just don't know what there really is to discuss if that's their fate or what they want to do. And so I think it's just very convoluted and confusing. I think we should be a little bit more transparent and clear. And I think we could have a better process in place than this. I think this is not fair. These are volunteers. And I think to strike somebody after a committee has come forward, it's just like striking anything that came from the rules, after the last meeting we had. Should I send some of that stuff back? No, I was told it came in an agenda packet and they already voted in that manner and that was pushed forward. It's the same idea. I can understand if someone has a problem, I can respect that, but I feel like we're failing our process. So with that, I also would like to make another motion when she's done. I think we should go through, if we're going to treat one person this way, we should go through each person on this list and vote not as a whole, individually. So I'd like to have that opportunity to raise that motion. Thank you.
So at this point, we have 4 hands. What I'd like to know is, before we start going into reviewing each person, is there consensus to send this back to committee? Sending something back to committee, we've done before. Is it the will? I'm not going to take a vote at this point, but is there the will to send it back to committee? Because if we're not even interested in sending it back to committee, this is moot, right? So if you're interested in sending it back to committee, can you just do a quick show so we know where we are with this?
Melendez.
So I'm seeing 3 that are interested in sending it back to committee. Okay. because we only have 3 that are interested in sending it back, that is not a majority of the counselors present. We do have 2 counselors who wish to speak again. Do you feel that you have argument for sending it back to committee? Councilor Aubry and Councilor Franco. Councilor Aubry, you have the floor, or we'll go to Councilor Franco first. Councilor Franco?
We have received other things from committees that have worked on things. They've come to us, they've made their referral, and we've sent it back to them because maybe some of us had some issues. Same as with rules. Rules came to us, we made some changes, they brought it back to rules, they worked on it some more, and it came back to the council. I mean, this is nothing new. I mean, we have things at the safety committee meeting that's going to come to us, and now we get to vote. And by the way, I do not need to, ahead of time, tell anybody how I'm going to vote on something and send it to my town councilors in an email to tell them how I'm voting.
I agree with you. I don't think we should have to.
Councilor Franco, I'm sorry. Councilor Franco, you have the floor. The clock is running. You have the floor.
So that was just said previously that I should be sending emails ahead of time to get this taken care of and prepare in advance. I don't need to tell anybody where my vote is prior to the meeting. So when it came to me, and he is on the ballot to be voted on, and I have serious concerns, I don't think there's a problem with it going back to committee, and that I can simply state the reasons why it should go back to committee, and they should review those. And I could probably even give some information to them that they can research. So I think our council should send it back and let them review this, because we are putting these people in these positions and we're responsible basically. So thank you.
I'm going to go to Councilor Heed, and then we'll go to Councilor Aubry for her second time. Councilor Heed?
Thank you. I'm sorry. I feel like the matter was settled in the last vote. I understand one of our other counselors may have concerns, but we were at the Personnel and Appointments Committee. We asked questions generally. What's your interest? What are you? What do you bring to the table? Are you willing to make the commitment to carry this through? And we generally approve people because they're willing to donate their time to help the town move forward. And a lot of work that's being done is donated time. Of course, you have to get the right people in certain positions. So, I mean, certain positions require certain kinds of expertise. Other positions, anyone can do it. And that's basically what we're trying to get at. There is no specific question for Historic District Commission. It's just kind of a general feeling of like, what does the person want to accomplish while they're there? So, I respectfully suggest that the matter was settled in the last vote. And as much as I would like to have unanimous consent on the council, if the will isn't there to send it back, then I say we drop the matter and move on.
Councilor Aubry, this is your second time speaking.
Thank you. I just wanted to make a clarification. Councilor Bordelon said that we were voting to not have this person in the position, if I heard her correctly. What we're doing is just asking the committee to do a little bit more work. There's a question, it should be answered. And I don't think we should be doing any more than voting on, is it going to go back or is it going to stay? We can't deliberate this gentleman. There may be a very valid reason. And if we go forward without it going back to the committee, we're not doing our job. So I would ask everybody to think of it that way. You can't just leave this hang. There's been something that's put out there in the public at this point. This man deserves the right for this to go back to committee, and then the committee can make their recommendation with additional information being reviewed. We need to do our job. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, so to recommit an item is a majority vote. We have, I'm sorry, Councilor Baumgardner, you have the floor.
I would concur with Councilor Aubry's final point. We have our own job to do too. And we look to the Personnel and Appointments Committee to make recommendations to us about who is worthy, who has the integrity, who has the character, who has the professionalism to serve on our respective boards and commissions. And so we look to you, Chair Melendez, and you, Chair Councilor Heed, and Councilor Zapiri, to make recommendations. All of these appointments were recommended on a unanimous basis, which is part of the reason why it was placed on the consent calendar. I don't think Councilor Bordelon was saying you need to, with respect to what Councilor Franco said about informing the council ahead of time about a vote. But I think if there is a concern about a certain individual, at the very least, when it comes to consent calendars, where an item is placed for unanimous support, I think we ought to, to indicate as such, so we don't deliberate on a matter for hours on end. And I say that truly respectfully. So I very much would like to vote on his appointment this evening. It can be an up or down vote. If it's voted down, then simply the committee then will go back and decide who should be appointed to a alternate position to Historic Commission, which certainly in terms of the significance of that board, and not to say that they don't have significant work, but I would argue it's I don't know what major decisions are before them that I'll just leave it at that. But I would just hope that in the future we can avoid doing this, and we can, if folks have frustrations with a certain individual, that they opine on that on that appointment directly at that committee, at the committee level, before it gets to the town council as a whole. And I say that with all respect to each individual councilor here. Thank you.
So this council has already voted to not remove the gentleman from the list. So I will ask now, we need a simple majority vote to commit this back to personnel and appointments. So all those in favor of sending it back to personnel and appointments, please raise your hand and keep your hand up until I call your name, please. Aubry, Melendez, Franco. All those opposed to sending it back, please raise your hand and keep your hand up until I call your name. Baumgardner, Parker, Bordelon, Heed, Granatowski. Okay, the motion to recommit fails. So we are again at voting item 2021-273-1. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Aubry,
Melendez.
Franco, Melendez. Any abstentions? That motion passes. 5 in favor, 3 opposed, 0 abstentions. Are you set with that vote, Madam Clerk?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. 7C, 2021-251, miscellaneous ad hoc committee appointments.
I'd like to put a motion on the floor, or ask that we go through them, since now people are, I think we should give every individual the due respect and go through it.
Is there consensus? Please raise your hand if you'd like to consider each individual for item 2021-251. Please raise your hand. Councilor Bordelon? There's only 1 in favor. I'm sorry, that is not something that the council wishes at this point. I will entertain a motion for 2021-251. And I'm not sure where we left. Oh, we were back with Councilor Baumgardner. Would you move 2021-251, please?
Madam Mayor?
Yes. Is it your turn?
No, I read the last thing.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
That's right, you did. Thank you. So this is, who sits next to you? Councilor Franco.
I'm sorry, am I reading what's on page 23 now?
Let me get there. 2021-250, yes.
Resolution making the following appointments to miscellaneous and ad hoc committees. Resolved that the town council appoints the following individuals. Reappointment Rita Schmidt to the Cable Television Advisory Committee. Reappointment of Mark Ofinger to the seat. Reappointment of Stacy Leach to SCARA. I so move.
Second, Heed.
Moved by Franco and seconded by Heed. All those in favor of 2021-251, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? So moved unanimously with 8 counselors. And item Roman numeral 70, 2021-404, special trust funds. May Councilor Heed, and we do not have to read every donation, but if you could just make the motion, please.
Understood. I'll make a motion or resolution accepting contributions to special trust funds. Resolved that the town council hereby accepts contributions to the town. I so move.
Thank you. Moved by Heed. Is there a second?
Baumgartner.
Moved by Heed, seconded by Baumgartner. All those in favor of the special trust fund contributions, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved unanimously. Thank you. It is 8:48. I think we'll take a 5-minute break because we have to go into communications and then we have our full agenda to do yet. So 5 minutes, please. It is 8:48 right now. So if you guys could be back, or I'm sorry, if counselors could be back at 8:53, I would appreciate that. Thank you so much.
The guys will be back.
And we are having town councilors first. So we will begin with Councilor Baumgartner, please.
Yes. Let's see. Today I attended a wonderful Pride flag raising celebration over at the town hall. I believe it was the second annual flag raising ceremony conducted by the Parks and Recreation Department, as well as the DEI committee. It was a really beautiful presentation, excellent remarks made by Councilor Melendez, and a very moving proclamation read by Mayor Granatowski. And I really appreciated your personal story as well. Also this weekend, attended several events throughout our community, a ribbon cutting over at the new Pedigo e-bikes. And I'm sure Mayor Granatowski will share more about that, but we welcome them to Groton. Certainly look forward to making Groton more of a bike-friendly community, and also attended, received various correspondences from citizens, and also attended the Memorial Day event over at the City Municipal building held by Subvets. The tolling of flags, also a very, very moving ceremony. And thank our service members in our community for the sacrifices they make, and certainly the ones that we could not welcome home. So with that, I will yield the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Parker, Communications.
The emails, I attended the Subvets Memorial Service at the Municipal building yesterday, as well as the grand opening of, I hope I say this correctly, Pedigo Groton for the electric bike shops. Very cool. If you guys get a chance, go check it out. And I did attend, I took a break at the Municipal building, so I was able to attend the raising of the Pride flag today. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilor Franco.
Thank you. I had many conversations and correspondence with residents. I drove down probably the 10th time down through Boulder Court and Oral School Road and around Fieldcrest and the Allen Street area to once again get a feel for the area. And also in July, we have the state DOT coming to visit with us and make a presentation about some lights at the exit ramps down there. So I wanted to sort of get another feel for that for when that meeting comes. And I have been attending a lot of baseball games. So Pitch came in number 2 for ECCs. They did fall 1-0 in the ECC championship game. And today they had their first state game and they won. And we play again tomorrow at 3:30. Thank you.
Councilor Heed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, I'd like to let everybody know I spoke to Councilor Zapiri this evening before the meeting began, and he is in good spirits and wide awake and has no pain at all. He's sitting in his recliner watching us right now, I'm sure. But yeah, he wanted me to give you his best and apologize he wouldn't be here at the meeting tonight. In addition, I attended a committee meeting with Councilor Zapiri and Councilor Aubry to discuss the ideas of putting out some sort of an informational encouragement to residents to get them to go get their COVID vaccination. And we discussed several items. We'll have to meet again and do a little bit more follow-up before we come back to the council with our recommendation. I'm just reporting out for Councilor Zapiri because he's unofficially the chair of the committee. And then the third thing, of course, I attended the submarine memorial at the municipal building. Very moving. And that's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor Heed. Councillor Ober.
I attended a memorial service this weekend. Today, as I had mentioned earlier, I was at the Pride flag raising in the city of Groton. I went down to Noank and took a look at the property in question down in that area so I could understand it a little bit better. And I think that the meeting that we had in reference to trying to get people to understand that they do need to have their shots. So we will be working on that. It is an important matter. And tomorrow night there's a meeting of the Groton Beautification Committee. So if anybody'd like to tune into that, we would greatly appreciate all the participation we can get. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Bordelon.
Thank you. I too attended the flag raising today. I think the town did a wonderful job, and all the staff and department, DEI, that put that on. I think it's a wonderful thing that we've started, and I look forward to it continuing in the town and making everybody feel welcome and accepted in our town. It's really beautiful to see the turnout and to see our town do that. So it was a really well-attended event, and I want to thank the Duchess, we were students together. She was a couple years behind me, and she did go to Barrasso and has her shop out in Pawcatuck, Connecticut. And anybody that enjoyed those cupcakes, please go out and support her on Mechanic Street, and you can look her up on Facebook, called Duchess. So I wanted to thank her for coming out, and it was really nice for her to do such. I also attended, I'm looking at my notes here, I apologize. An athletic fields meeting that I might be blending the dates. Memorial Day, I celebrated by honoring a second cousin of mine. Well, actually a first cousin once removed, who was killed in Afghanistan, who was a New London resident. He is buried here in New London, and every year we go over to his graveyard, grave site, and pay respect. So that's how I spent my Memorial Day, and I appreciate all the services and things that everyone has done. But as Memorial Day is, it's remembering the people who died in uniform that did not return home. And I commend the town for continuing to do those. There's a lot of families affected by this. And when you actually look around and you realize how many people in the state of Connecticut alone, but even in our own town or neighboring towns, that were directly, never had the chance to return and died in uniform. So yesterday, is a day to remember and never forget. Tomorrow I'll be attending the Fitch High School track meet in New Britain. They'll be going to states, and so I'm excited to go out there and support. And that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Councilor Melendez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I'd like to thank the DEI committee for putting on a flag raising, pride flag raising, and I want to thank the city also for doing the same. I'd like to thank particularly Jerry Locken from our Parks and Rec department. He did a lot of the coordinating of the event. Rebecca Spira from our library, who spoke so movingly of her experience, as well as thanking the mayor for reading the proclamation there at the event, and the town clerk for helping in the drafting of that proclamation. So thank you. And I hope, going forward, we can do it again.
Thank you. Thank you to the sub-vets for the lovely service at the City Municipal Building. It would normally have been held at the monument down on Bridge Street, but because of the weather, they moved it indoors. They always do a very fine job, and it's very touching to see the young men and women this year with the flags and honoring those who passed. So thank you very much. And to former Mayor Galbraith, who plays a big part in organizing. the Pedigo Bike Shop at the Groton Family Farm opened. The chairman of the board of Pedigo Corporation was there. He came into town for the opening, so that was exciting. And we had happy customers that were there already. There must have been at least a half dozen people who have already purchased bikes, so it's great. Plug for local business, right? And thank you. I echo what Councilor Melendez has said as a member of the DEI committee. Thank you very much for your work. Very moving remarks today. Thank you so much. You're very eloquent. All right, Clerk of the Representative Town Meeting.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Speak. Just had water. Can't do anything with my mouth, right? So, Mayor, the RTM did complete their review of the FYE 2022 budget on April 24th, which you've completed that process. So you're complete on our charter responsibilities as far as the budget. The RTM has 5 referrals from the council that they're working on. The finance committee will be meeting tomorrow to review those and make recommendations to the RTM for the June 9th meeting. Let's see. That you all, you're certainly aware with what those are: the fourth quarter transfers, the wayfinding signs, the CIP for the Crystal Lake reconstruction, and the sale of Pleasant Valley School. So we are done with the RTM report. On to the council report. So, as you know, the month of June is the month that the entire state of Connecticut registers all dogs that are living in Connecticut. Dog owners are responsible every June to register their dog. And registration requires a valid rabies vaccination and proof that the dog's been altered as in spayed or neutered. The fees on that is $8 if the dog's been spayed or neutered, and $19 if it's not. If you find yourself after the month of June, you will be assessed $1 per month for a late fee. Can't get around it. It's a state mandate. Okay, and that's the other thing. Let's see, I did attend. Well, I attend a lot of things, but I did attend the Pride flag raising today. It was a great service. There were lots of people, much better than last year. So, okay, congratulations all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, I just have to tell you very briefly, I was explaining government to my civics students, and I said, oh, for example, if you need to get your dog licensed, and they said, what? You need to get your dog licensed? I'm like, yes, you do. Well, why? And I'm like trying to explain everything to them. But anyway.
I've been, thank you. I mean, I've tried for at least 4 terms of the legislature to get some sort of bill. Well, the bill that I wanted was that anyone who has business relating to a dog, so that would be a veterinarian or pet store or groomer or dog walker, they would be responsible for letting their customers know that there is a law out there. And it's a big deal. So,
well, thank you very much. They learned something about you. The town manager.
Hello. Not much to report. I did attend the Pride flag raising event today, which was fantastic. It was a great event. And also, for those who haven't seen the Mystic Parking presentation that was put on last week, it was excellent. It is available on our website for those who have not seen it yet. American Rescue Plan, the ARP funding, we're still waiting on. There was supposed to be a training on it last week, a presentation on the uses of what we could do with those funds. However, the federal Department of Treasury put out new rules Monday night, so that pushed that off. The state's trying to figure it out now. So I think tomorrow is the next presentation, the rescheduled presentation. So I'm hoping to learn more. And then the council was notified of some vandalism, graffiti at the Mystic Education Center at the main building yesterday. That was painted over by Mr. Wrestler's people this morning. And hopefully that'll be kept an eye on. I do know our police do patrol there quite often. They patrol several times a week through there. They're going to step up driving through there more and, try to help Mr. Wrestler keep an eye on things. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Burt. Councilor Borderline, do you have a question for Mr. Burt?
Yeah, I thank you for the update on the vandalism. It wasn't just vandalism, though. It was racial slurs that were put on there, and I think that's important in this town. I know during Black History Month and when people were, very, very much upset about things happening in our town, and a lot of people say it doesn't happen here. The words that were used on that building were racial slurs, and it wasn't just vandalism. It was attack on the minority community. And I think that's important for the record that is happening here in the town of Groton, and those words were put on the door of that building. So it's, yes, protecting Mr. Ressler's property, but my concern as a town is I hope that we're going to look ways to address this and really get to the root of the problem in this town. So I'm not sure, John, is there any investigation with all that's going on in our surrounding towns, from Stonington High School to East Lyme recently, with all these different things where people are being attacked verbally in a racial manner? Seeing this on that is very offensive and concerning. So is there any plan for that?
That's really up to Mr. Ressler. We don't have an actual interest in the property. He's the one that the state and he have the interest in it. However, I'm been trying to set up a meeting with him for tomorrow. So we'll see what he says. My understanding is there's some cameras out there, so I'd like to learn more about where those cameras are.
Yeah, I would think that, based on what was put there, that we have an interest, and I hope that we continue to investigate that. I also had a constituent and folks reach out to me regarding community meals. It was stated to me that, I have a question for you, John, that community meals on the rec department declined to renew the option to have community meals at the senior center.
Correct. And I had emailed the council on that.
Yeah, and what's the full reason? I mean, I think I'm concerned because I know we talk about outside resources in our community, and we do not have a soup kitchen in our town or a place to feed folks that are hungry. And most folks, may fall on hard times and need those meals, and it was heavily used and well respected. Getting to New London is very hard for folks. And the place where this was located was perfectly situated between Pequannock Village, the senior center, and the housing over there, and it's on the bus route. So I just have concerns as to why we are not moving forward with that.
I'd have to pull back out my notes on this since it's been a while, a couple of weeks since I looked at that. I'll email the council tomorrow.
Okay, I just think it should come before the council as a discussion item or an agenda item. I think before the decision was made, I think it should be something the community at large should make a decision on that. And I think that is, the absence of that program is a huge wrinkle in this town. I'm sad to hear that our town is not renewing their contract with them. So that was, my next question is there any plan in this town to look at other agreements moving forward by trying to make sure that we are writing in our agreements with any new development moving forward to make sure that we have something that is binding, where if there's anything legal that we can withdraw?
That is my intention.
And will that come before the council when it's finally drafted?
But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a while because we don't have any properties coming up for a while. But I imagine maybe SB Butler would be the potential next thing if we look at that.
Yeah.
But,
okay. Because I think it's important that we have that in there. Looking at other documents, I mean, we should have some protections in there when actions like this come before us on any property, and it has nothing to do with Ressler in particular. But after reading all the documents, it seems to be that we need to have more protection in this town.
Thank you. Your time is up. Thank you. Councilor Franco, you have questions for the manager?
Yes, thank you. Regarding the Mystic Education Center, there were racial slurs there, and it's just horrible. And I was also notified that there was much anti-police graffiti as well there. And so an email was forwarded to the council that had come in, and I believe it was addressed to numerous people, including the mayor, and then it got forwarded to us. And my question is, it stated something about a police report was filed. Was that the case?
A Chief Fisaro's still looking. He didn't find anything yet, but we have, there's entries for every time they do a patrol check there. So I guess there's over 300 entries. There's been about five-ish break-ins there over the last couple of years. One vandalism report, but he did not. Usually anything that's our police handles out there, they report it to both Pete Bronk and myself, and then we report it to Mr. Ressler, and nothing, he doesn't believe anything was ever found for that, no. And it could have been the state police they contacted also, because that is state property.
I see. And would they report to our town if that was going on there? The state police, would they let us know?
It depends on what it is, I guess. I don't want to speak for, I don't know the interactions fully of the police. I don't really want to say
All right.
incorrectly.
Another issue that had happened over the weekend was there was a shooting at one of the businesses in our town, and many residents had reached out to me on this one, and they're very concerned, and they want to know what can be done. And I'm sure they've reached out to you as well and have expressed their concerns to you, and you're fully aware. But I just want to make sure, if you hadn't heard from people, that you are aware and citizens are speaking out and would like something to be done. And they're looking to town government and to town staff to see what can be done. And I'm putting that on your lap at the moment.
But
hoping to get some kind of feedback in the near future.
Well, that's actually, the mayor had asked for that to be on the agenda next week, a review of the BYOB ordinance, which is kind of what we have that applies to the location. So that will be on next week.
All right. I look forward to seeing it. I'm not sure if that's actually going to be the solution, but I look forward to it. Thank you.
I just wanted to say that I believe that Chief Fisaro was aware of the hateful graffiti that was on the building out there. So our town police have been notified of that situation, and we are intending on asking our attorney, if he has not already been asked, to help us come up with solutions to safeguard the community. Are there other councilors who wish to speak? If not, Councilor Bordelon would like to speak again.
Yes, oops, sorry.
Just give 1 second, see if anybody else wants to talk.
No, it's fine.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, thanks. Just to Councilor Franco's point about the incident that happened at the BYOB ordinance, it seems, I was looking on that strip in general, and it's just not the BYOB ordinance. I mean, the strip clubs on that, there's been a murder there. There's been shootings up and down that strip. And I hope that we look at ways to minimize all of that between the BYOB ordinance, as well as the nightlife in general on that strip. There's been several shootings and murders many years when that strip club has changed names many times. And I just think that there is a concern up and down in that area. And as we look at more development, you have the youth center for the military families across the street, and possible redevelopment behind there where there used to be a school. There's a lot going on there. And I just think it all needs to be looked at and have an attention. There's been multiple shootings and even deaths in parking lots up and down that strip. Thank you.
Okay, we are on to committee reports. I have nothing from Committee of the Whole. We just had a meeting. Personnel and appointments, Chairman Melendez, did you want to add anything else to the discussion this evening, sir?
No, I think we've covered it tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Rules, Chairman Overy, did you wish to add anything at this point to our discussion? You're muted.
Probably a good idea. No meeting, no report.
Thank you. Chairman Baumgartner, for Public Safety, anything you wish to add to our discussion?
No reading, no report, but I would like to follow up with Councilor Franco. I'm not ignoring you. I know you have at least one item you'd like to deliberate on in the Public Safety Committee meeting. Initially, your initial referral included also the item of the fire training school. Now that the council has appropriated funds to build the training school, my question was going to be to you if that is something that you still wanted to deliberate on, or if you simply just wanted to talk about the issue of the pilot funds. But we can talk offline. No answer required now. But
so we'll look forward to a meeting report on those items. Thank you.
No meeting, no report outside of that. Thank you.
You did already. Thank you. So we are on to new business. This is Roman numeral 10A, Roman numeral, Councilor Aubry. This is 2021-4071, establishment of tax rate for general fund. This would be on page 26 in your packet, please.
Is that me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I thought you were looking for it in your stack of papers.
I am, but I didn't realize I needed to do it a little quicker.
That's okay. It's page 26. It's the establishment of tax rates for general fund.
Okay. Whereas the representative town meeting has approved the general fund budget for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2022, providing for expenditures appropriations totaling $1,137,644,367. And whereas the town council estimate cash revenue exclusive of FYE 2022, current property taxes will total $38,979,828. Now therefore be it resolved that $2,851,000 is hereby appropriated as fund balance available as of July 1st, 2021 to partially meet expenditures appropriations contained in the FYE 222 general fund budget, and be it further resolved that $95,813,539 is the amount that's needed to be raised from property taxes, and be it further resolved that the tax rate for taxes due July 1st, 2021 is hereby established at 25.98 mils per $1,000 of assessed valuation to raise $95,813,539. $95,813,539 plus $3,739,661 429 divided by 98.6 times 1,000 equals 25.98 mils. I so move.
Second, there is a correction, I think.
They say it wrong?
There, you've got a plus sign for a divided sign.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Just to keep it clear, I think that's the correction you're speaking of, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So in the parentheses, in the resolved, Madam Clerk, it should be 95,813,539 divided by the 3 trillion number.
Okay, well,
number, not trillion.
We'll make that correction. Thank you.
So it's moved by Aubry and seconded by Franco. All right, seeing no discussion, we will vote on 2021-407. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved unanimously. Thank you. We are on to.
Excuse me?
Yes.
Could I make a note, if I could, please? A request? I'd just like to request, I think that the finance director did an excellent breakdown of how this tax affects people. And I think it would be wonderful if that could be published so that people could see really the true effect of this. I don't know.
So it is in the committee of the whole packet, but are you speaking separately from our agenda?
Yes, I think it would be good if it could be put on the Facebook page or wherever people might be apt to read it, because I think it helps you to understand what the impact is going to be.
Agreed. She does do an excellent job with that. Mr. Byrd, is that so noted, sir?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we are on to Roman numeral 10B, 2021-4081, establishment of tax rate for Mumford Cove District Fund. Councilor Bordelon, please.
I would like to pass. Thank you.
So we are on to Councilor Melendez. This is page 27 in your packet.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I make a motion to recommend a resolution establishing tax rate for Mumford Cove District due July 1st, 2021, whereas the representative town meeting has approved a Mumford Cove District budget for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2022, providing for expenditure appropriations totaling $21,180, and whereas the town council estimated cash revenue exclusive of FYE 2022 current property taxes will total $0. Now therefore be it resolved that $0 is hereby appropriated as fund balance available as of July 1st, 2021 to partially meet expenditure appropriations contained in the FYE 2022 Mumford Cove District Fund budget, and be it further resolved that the tax rate for taxes due for the Mumford Cove District Fund on July 1st, 2021 is hereby established at 0.33 mils per $1,000 of assessed valuation to raise $20,180. Parentheses $21,180 divided by 63,601,987 divided by 99.5% times 1,000 is 0.33 mils. I so move.
Second, Bordelon.
Moved by Melendez and seconded by Bordelon. Okay, we will vote on 2021-408. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved unanimously. Okay, back to the beginning of the line. Roman numeral 10C, 2021-410, establishment of tax rate for Groton Sewer District. Councilor Baumgartner, please.
Yes, resolution establishing tax rate for Groton Sewer District due July 1st, 2021. Whereas the representative town meeting has approved a Groton Sewer District budget for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2022, providing for expenditure appropriations totaling $1,396,418. And whereas the town council estimated cash revenue exclusive of FYE 2022 current property taxes will total $6,200. Now therefore be it resolved that $500,000 is hereby appropriated as fund balance available as of July 1st, 2021 to partially meet expenditure appropriations contained in the FYE 2022 Sewer District Fund budget, and be it further resolved that the tax rate for taxes due for the Groton Sewer District Fund on July 1st, 2021 is hereby established at 0.37 mils per $1,000 of assessed valuation to raise $890,218, which is $890,218 divided by 2,418,453,161, excluding motor vehicles, divided by 99.4% times 1,000 equals 0.37 mils. So moved.
Second, Franco.
Moved by Baumgartner and seconded by Franco. Okay, we will vote on 2021-410. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? So moved unanimously. Thank you. We are on to Roman numeral 10D, 2021-4051, Cable Television Advisory Council of Southeastern Connecticut 2021 Grant Program, page 29, and Councilor Parker, I believe.
Make a resolution authorizing the town manager or his designee to apply for and receive grant funding from the Cable Television Advisory Council of Southeastern Connecticut, CTACSC, whereas Groton Municipal Television will replace and upgrade video recording equipment in Groton Public Library Community Meeting Room to record and televise programs and meetings. Whereas the Cable Television Advisory Council of Southeastern Connecticut, CTACSC, is open to its 5-member towns of Groton, Ledyard, North Stonington, and Volleytown, and has funds available to support local public education and government capabilities. Whereas Groton citizens will benefit from these GMTV equipment upgrades and enhancements at the library, providing the community with improved quality and greater access to programs and meetings. Resolved that the Groton Town Council hereby authorizes the town manager or his designee to apply for and receive grant funding in the amount of $3,500 from the Cable Television Advisory Council of Southeastern Connecticut, CTACSC, which will allow Groton Municipal Television, GMTV, to upgrade video recording equipment at the Groton Public Library. I so move.
Second, Franco.
Moved by Parker and seconded by Franco. And this was just discussed in Committee of the Whole. Okay, we will vote on 2021-405. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? So moved unanimously. Thank you. We are on to Roman numeral 10E, 2021-360, FYE 2021 suspense list, page 30. Councilor Franco.
Make a resolution establishing the fiscal year 2021 suspense list. Whereas state law requires that once a year a list shall be compiled of taxes that should be suspended, and whereas the accounts which have been determined as uncollectible have been contacted multiple times with no response. And whereas placing uncollected items on the suspense list helps avoid waste of money and staff time, and whereas the taxpayer remain liable for all amounts that are placed on the suspense list, now therefore it be resolved that the following amounts be added to the suspense list as reported to the town council. Town, $339,344.71. Sewer District, $240.74. Mumford Cove, $3.99. For a grand total of $339,589.44. I so move.
Second, Parker.
Moved by Franco and seconded by Parker. And for the public listening at home, we've gone through these items in Committee of the Whole in prior weeks. So thank you very much for being with us. All right, all those in favor of 2021-360, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? So moved unanimously. Thank you. We are on to Roman numeral 10F, 2021-177-4 Neighborhood Assistance Act, page 31. Councilor Heed, I believe.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll make a resolution to approve the 2021 Neighborhood Assistance Act proposals for the Sacred Heart School, Riverfront Children's Center, Fairview, and Avery Cott Museum. Whereas the town of Groton has received proposals from the Sacred Heart School, Riverfront Children's Center, Fairview, and Avery Cott Museum for the 2021 Neighborhood Assistance Act. And whereas the town of Groton Department of Planning and Development Services received a proposal from each of these entities to achieve tax credit savings on energy efficiency and energy conservation projects. Whereas the town of Groton Office of Planning and Development Services supports the proposals from each of these entities and acknowledges that the post-program review will be their responsibility. And whereas the town council held a public hearing on the 2021 Neighborhood Assistance Act applications on May 4th, 2021, whereas the town of Groton Town Council supports the proposals from each of these entities, now therefore be it resolved that the town council hereby approves the proposals for the Sacred Heart School, Riverfront Children's School, Fairview, and Avery Cott Museum for the 2021 Neighborhood Assistance Act. I so move.
Second, Parker.
Moved by Heed and seconded by Parker. Okay, we will vote on 2021-170. Councilor Bordelon, did you have a question on this item?
Yes, I just want to ask the town manager. I was asked for an email to see like who else we sent proposals to in the years, and I never received that. I just hope that we're going to be expanding the umbrella in the years to come. So is there a list of folks that this was actually sent to originally?
I don't have it on me. I'll ask about it tomorrow.
Yeah, because that was many meetings ago I had asked, and it never has come to me as to who submitted and or who the feelers went out to. I know that these are the ones that responded and they all got it, but I think there's some other agencies, and I just hope that we're broadening our base to contact folks in our community. Thank you.
Okay, we will vote on 2021-177 Neighborhood Assistance Act. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved unanimously. And this is back to Councilor Aubry for item Roman numeral 10G 2021-387-1 Sandy Hollow Road resurfacing. Page 32 in your packet, please.
Yep. Resolution scheduling a public hearing on resurfacing of Sandy Hollow Road. Whereas on September 5th, 1989, by resolution, the Groton Town Council designated Sandy Hollow Road as a scenic road according to Town Ordinance Section 13.5-121 to 13.5-124. And whereas the Town of Groton Public Works Director has requested to resurface Sandy Hollow Road, now therefore be it resolved that the Town Council will hold a public hearing on the proposed resurfacing of Sandy Hollow Road on July 6, 2021. I so move.
Second, Bordelon.
Moved by Aubry and seconded by Bordelon. Madam Clerk, do you have something on this item?
Yep, I just had a question because I didn't see it in the resolution, but I believe that the Public Works or the planning, somebody has to let property owners know about this public hearing and that this project is going to happen.
I'll make sure they know that.
Thank you.
Okay, we will vote on 2021-387 Sandy Hollow Road resurfacing. This is to set a public hearing. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved unanimously. Thank you. We are on to Roman number 11, other business, 2028-94-5 open agenda item review. One moment, please. Let me get there in my packet. All right. I'm sorry, Councilor Franco.
Thank you. I see the blight ordinance discussion is slated to go on for the 8th of this month, and I still have not received anything back from Mr. Reiner on the information that I sent him.
I just noticed that shouldn't have been on there. There shouldn't be a date set yet.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay.
May I have one more question for you? So do we have other things coming up? Because our next meeting is on the 8th, I would assume. And we have short-term rentals I see there. And I just heard BYOB might be coming back. Is there anything else?
We have sorry.
Yes, we have at least 5 items at this point that will be on this. And we are not going to be discussing just BYOB. We're going to be discussing how we can make the community safer. So I don't want people to think we're just talking about that. But yes, there are quite a few other items that are scheduled for the 8th, and we're looking at booking out. So we're keeping an eye on things and trying to get everything done in a timely manner.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Councilor Bordelon.
I had a question. I have an interest in an agenda item. Right now, we're just reviewing this, correct? I can't verbally state my thought now.
We're not discussing any of the agenda items. We're just talking about what is on this list.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I didn't hear. Who was that, please?
Me.
Oh, Bree.
The Roman.
And
You're not a Roman.
Was that a second by Parker?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved unanimously at 9:40 p.m. Thank you. And Councilor Zepari, if you're listening, get some rest and heal up, sir. Have a good night, everybody. Be well.
Good night, John Boy.
The recording has stopped.
Night, Leanne.
Good night, Precious.